Hello, thank you for tuning into my channel. It's Vlogmas in July 2022, day 23, and it's the second day of the Starch experiment. So if you want to see how I put these two blocks together with the addition of starch, please stay tuned. I am so excited to get back into this starch experiment. I've been waiting all week to get to this point where I can make these other blocks for this project. For those of you who are just tuning in, I am not normally a quilter who uses starch, but I'm going to do an experiment to see the effect that it makes on my quilting for a small project. I want to thank, I think it's Jazzy Joyce, who was the first person to ask me about using starch, and she asked a couple times, so I decided to do an experiment to see if I could go from a not starcher to a starcher. So we're going to see how that works for this project. What I'm going to do is I'm making a table runner, and I'm going to use this pattern, this block. It's called the Diamond Pavers block, and I got it from the Missouri Star Holiday Block magazine from 2019. Let me show you the quilt that they have here in the book. The quilt is right here. Let me take it a little bit closer. Okay. But I'm gonna do, I'm only gonna do 5 blocks. This quilt is actually 36 blocks, and then they have borders, but I'm just gonna do 5 blocks, and then I'm gonna border it, and I'm gonna put it upstairs on my table. The pattern was chosen by my son Cameron, and the colors were chosen by Cameron. So I'm really excited that I get to do a project that he sort of designed. I've chosen this sort of teal color and like a beige because they go with my upstairs, my kitchen decor or my kitchen paint colors. So I'm gonna be using those colors in some different fabrics to create the runner. I've chosen 2 fabrics to work with today. And so let me come up close to the camera. I don't know if I still have the name of this, like the selvage on here. Wait, I see a little bit selvage. Okay, so I can tell you a little bit about this one. Let me see, what about this one? I may have already taken the selvage off of this one because I've used it before. Yeah, so I don't remember the fabric line for this one, but I already took the selvage off, so it's in a bag. So anyway, this fabric, I'm gonna bring it up close. It's called Hop, Skip, and a Jump by American Jane Pattern, Sandy Klopp for Moda. So I'll show you the selvage and I'll show you the actual fabric. It's real cute. So let's see, I hope you can see that. I should have brought both of them over here, but I didn't. So there we go. And then some of these have a little saying on them. This one says, "Make time to play." How adorable. Can you see that? All right, and so the fabric is just a little floral. And I think it might be a reproduction, but I'm not sure. And then the second one is this fabric here. And I've used it on other projects. I think I used it on my jewelry box quilt and maybe a few other things. So these are the 2 that I'm gonna be working on, and I'm making 2 blocks, okay? So I'm gonna make 1 block that has the teal in the center and the cream background, and then the other one will have the cream in the center with the teal background, so we can see that look in both looks in these fabrics. The starch that I'm going to be using is the Faultless Heavy Finish Spray Starch. I picked it up at Walmart. They only had the heavy starch and the sizing. But I did see the normal at Joann, but I didn't get it. So I'm gonna use the heavy and just see how it works. My plan today is to start at the ironing board, pressing the fabrics with the starch, then making the blocks, or not wrong, then cutting the pieces and then making the block. And hopefully we'll see, you know, maybe I'll have some insight or some opinion about using starch versus this block where I didn't use starch at all. We'll just have to see. Okay, so join me at the ironing board and we're gonna talk a little bit more about this. As I prepare to start to press this fabric using starch for the first time as a quilter, I have a couple of questions about what I think the effect is gonna be. Is it gonna make the fabric easier to cut? Is it gonna be easier to stitch? Is it gonna be easier to measure? All of those are things that I'm thinking about. So I'm not sure, you know, those are just my questions. So I'm interested to see how this changes what I normally do as my quilting routine. Usually, well, I guess my main question is, do I really want to take the extra step? By the time that I've chosen a pattern and chosen the fabric and pressed the fabric, I'm ready to cut and sew. So I don't know if I want to take this extra step. I hope that, well, I don't know if I hope that it makes a difference and I become a starcher. I don't know if I want that. I just want to see what the results are so I can make a decision about it. There are two ways that I've seen that people press or press with starch. One is just spraying, letting the starch soak into the fabric for just a few minutes and then ironing. The other way is to completely saturate the fabric, let it dry overnight, and then iron it the next day. I'm gonna try it both ways. For today, I'm gonna do the quick way by letting the fabric soak in, or letting the starch soak into the fabric and then giving it a quick press. I have questions about if I should press the whole piece of fabric or if I should take just a small portion off. I'm really not sure what the best thing to do is, but what I'm gonna go ahead and do is just press this entire piece of fabric and then cut it. I know that this piece, the teal, it's about 1 yard, but I'm just gonna go ahead and press the whole piece anyway. This piece is not quite 1 yard, but it might be pretty close. Like I may have only taken 1 or 2 strips off of it. So either way, I'm gonna press both of these all the way, the whole piece of fabric, and then see how it works. What I want to do in order to give the fabric, or give the starch a chance to soak in, I'm going to spray the whole piece with starch, like this whole piece. I'm gonna spray it, and then I'm gonna put it to the side and spray the other piece, so that hopefully by the time I'm done spraying the second piece, this piece will be ready and I can go ahead and press it. I'm gonna speed this part of the video up, but I wanted you to know kind of the step that I want to take, and then and hopefully we can see some interesting results. So I'm gonna speed up the video here. Starch, push to the side, starch, push to the side, then start the pressing. Fabric pressed, and now it's time to cut. I noticed that this piece was already a little bit stiffer after I pressed it. The other piece I didn't feel like it was as stiff, but I don't know if it's because I put more starch on one fabric or the other. I don't really know. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut this. For each of the blocks, it's just 1 square and 4 rectangles. Since this is not my pattern, I can't tell you the measurements, but I will say that this block does use a layer cake. So if you have 10-inch squares that are already pre-cut, that will work. I'm also taking a 2.5-inch strip from this piece. Since I'm not using it for another specific project, it's going to be easy for me to just go ahead and take another 2.5-inch strip for my scraps. So I am just making sure that I have it cut neatly and completely. I may need to change my blade out. I haven't done that in a while, and I've been doing a lot of cutting, so we'll see. All right. So I'll speed up the video here so that you can see me cut all the pieces. This does seem easier to cut though, so far. All right, so I'm speeding up the video starting here. Pieces ready to stitch my blocks. The way that this block goes together, you take the rectangles and you add them to the square, but you put them on at an angle so it transforms it into this diamond shape. The way that these blocks are going to go together is like this. So this is my square, these are the borders, and then this will be the square, and these are the borders. My impressions about using the starch, when I cut, I felt like the fabric might have been a little bit easier to cut. I did feel a little bit more confident about my measurements because the fabric didn't move around as much. And it could be because I haven't sewn this block in a week, but these blocks seem a little bit bigger to me. They feel a little bit bigger. I'm not sure. I'm gonna wait until I'm done with both of the blocks to compare it and see if the size matches up. I really don't know if it will. I'm going to stitch these blocks on camera for you, but I am going to speed up the video. Again, you can check out the pattern in the block, holiday block from Missouri Star 2019. I'm sure they have a video for the Diamond Pavers, but I just got it from the book. So I'm going to speed up the camera now. I'll bring you in a little bit closer so you can have a better idea of what I'm doing. I now have 3 blocks completed for my table runner. I'm very excited that I tried the starch. To me, it did make a difference. I wasn't sure about the difference that it made, but it did make a difference, and so I'm going to talk a little bit about it right now. This is the first block that I did, and it turned out really good. I mean, the block is so simple that even when I didn't use starch, the block turned out good. So I kind of measured it against the other ones. They appear to be about the same size. I was a little bit concerned about that. But this one was super simple to put together. Okay. Now with the starch, I noticed, number one, that I felt more accurate with my cutting. I don't know, I was using a shape cut, so it may not have been different, but it felt different because the fabric was just a little bit stiffer. And I thought that that was worth doing. Also, the block, when it came to finger pressing and pressing with the iron, this seemed to press a little bit easier, and it's really flat and not as flimsy. This block to me is pretty flimsy, and like even the parts that are on top, this beige fabric, it sort of moves a little bit, but on this block it doesn't seem to move at all. I don't know if you can tell the difference on camera, but this block is much stiffer, or stiffer is not the word. It seems to hold together better and be flatter than the original block. And I feel the same way about this block. It lays really flat, and the top pieces stay in place pretty well. And so I feel pretty confident about putting this in my quilt or in my table runner. So I'm gonna put all the blocks here so that you can see them. And this is not exactly the order that it's gonna go in, because I am gonna have more teal diamonds than cream diamonds. Also, next week I'm gonna try some different fabrics as well. But then hopefully we can put everything together in a runner and see how it plays and how the fabrics work together. What I'm going to do, since I'm really happy with the result of the starch on the bottom 2 blocks, I'm going to go back and starch this top block and just kind of see what it does. I think it's gonna just make everything a little firmer. Hopefully it won't shrink anything up or stretch anything out. But that's what I'm gonna do next. I'm gonna go ahead and starch this one. Y'all, I might actually be turning to starch. I might turn into a starcher, and I'm okay with that, because the ease that it caused, the ease with which I put the blocks together, it was due to the starch, and I really like it. This block is turned the wrong way, so let me fix that. Okay, so for next week's starch experiment, I'm going to do the 2-day process. So this was kind of the short way, and I'm going to try the long way next time, where I completely saturate my fabric and then let it sit for 24 hours and dry, and then press it. So please join me for that. After I finished these blocks, I actually had these little leftover triangles. Let me show them to you. These right here were left over from cutting off the block, and I actually stitched 2 of them together and cut off the little tips. And normally I wouldn't do this, but I went ahead and tried it, and I think because these fabrics were starched, it made it easier for them to lay flat. What I'm gonna do with these is put them in my strings and start putting them on my Pellon paper. So that's just another little, it could be like a little leader ender or something that I just chose to do with these. I don't know how well it's gonna work on my leader enders, we'll see. But they are laying nice and flat, and I think it's because they've been starched. If you have any questions about what you've seen in this video, leave them in the comments below. Thumbs up this video, share it with your friends, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!